What happened? Tell us the thought process and how.
I don't know. Very early on, actually within days of when I started, no, there were already lots of pressures for me to move certain people to certain sensitive positions. No? Now, the only reason that was always being given was gusto yan ng Iglesia ni Cristo. No? Now, I did not think that anyone outside of customs or outside of the government should have any say, no, in appointments in customs, and so I just asked the relevant deputy commissioners. Bago pa lang ako sa customs noon, I didn't really know that many people. So of course, I'm relying on the deputies. Look, whoever is the deputy commissioner who's responsible for a certain area, it's that person's call. No, now so the appointments that were being quote unquote desired, no, I did not implement them. No, I went with the recommendations of the deputy commissioners. But then, subsequent to that, the pressure never stopped.
Where's this pressure coming from?
To be honest, I don't exactly know, because the name that was being dropped all the time was Iglesia ni Cristo. No? Now, nobody from the Iglesia ni Cristo ever spoke to me. No? So I have no direct knowledge of whether this is really Iglesia ni Cristo. No? I also find it hard to believe that the Iglesia ni Cristo would do this. Maybe it's just a name that's being dropped, but obviously they're powerful people. No? And then a few months ago, it became clear to me that a certain individual by the name of Attorney Teddy Raval, no, was being pushed very hard for an appointed position at the Bureau. And I said, what is this? Why are we appointing people at the behest, supposedly, of the Iglesia ni Cristo? That just goes against my own principles, and the assurances that I made to our own team here at Customs that politics and influence peddling would have zero role in appointments and promotions within Customs. So I tried to resist that appointment for as long as I could. I learned fairly recently that the appointment is going to come through. And I said, look, there is something that is not right about this, okay? And I think it's something that's important enough to the future of customs and to me personally, to take a stand against.
Why did it have to be a resignation right away? Why could it not be an interview? Why could it not be a protest on your part? Why did it have to be a resignation?
I've done all of that.
And it hasn't worked?
Yeah.
When did you decide?
Recently.
Was it a overnight decision? Was it a week? Had it been a build-up?
There's been a build-up.
Okay.
Yes.
And you said that if this appointment goes through, I gotta go.
Yes.
So you submitted your letter?
Yes.
When?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Have you heard from the
No.
palace?
No.
And if they make you stay, is this an irrevocable resignation?
I don't think they're going to ask me to stay, but I haven't really thought about it. I expect that my resignation will be accepted.
Okay. When you say there were pressures, how was it getting to you? Like how?
Initially,
Was it through letters?
initially, when it all started, no, it was texts and phone calls. No? From people I knew within the government. Sorry, I'm not giving names.
Okay, but
Yeah.
in the Aquino administration?
Within the government.
Within the government?
Yes. And none of these were like, do this.
Yes.
No? It was all, hey, so-and-so is counting on this, or so-and-so wants so-and-so to be placed there. No? And I thought that if you give in to one, okay, it's a slippery slope.
Yes.
No?
How do appointments go through without your approval?
For up to a certain level of, in terms of salary grade, no? We have procedures which require that all openings in the Bureau be published and that there be open applications for them from both internal and external candidates. Everybody's on an equal footing. Okay, that is an absolute requirement. Okay, now above a certain level, these are presidential appointee positions, which where the president has the discretion to appoint who they see fit, and those don't need my consent.
Okay, then why were they pressuring you then if they could have just appointed directly without your approval?
They could have done that.
Yes.
Okay, I objected to it.
So this is a presidential appointee.
Yes.
Can you talk to us more about the position? What makes this position so desirable?
It's the position is the director of the Enforcement and Security Service, or what's more commonly known as the Customs Police. It's a 400 or so sort of armed police force of customs. Okay.
And your theory is that with the elections coming up, this will be an influential post.
Put it this way. I have my own theories, but I'm not going to talk about what they are. I think the mere principle of a political appointment is wrong in and of itself, and I think it imperils the consistency of merit-based hiring and promotions within customs that we've been trying so hard to achieve. Now, the fact that elections are just a little bit more than a year away makes me 10 times more sensitive to these types of considerations. No? Now, look, could I have dealt with it? Yeah, I could have dealt with it. I mean, are there ways to deal with it? Yes, but I can already sense that the environment's changing. And I think that it's better for somebody who has the skills to navigate in a much more political environment to take over at this point.
But that's the point, see? Why would you leave at a time when they need you the most?
I don't. There's
You
100.
need a good person in
There's 100
position.
million people in this country. Okay, there are lots of smart, motivated, well-meaning people around. I hope they find somebody better than me to go forward.
What qualities do you think the next person needs to have? Because clearly it's not just good intentions. It's not even, you mentioned political navigation. What do we need from the next commissioner?
I think that integrity is the bedrock of everything. I would say it's the single necessary condition. Okay, so integrity should be something that can be taken for granted from the Commissioner of Customs, just given the extent of temptation in a place like this. But then I think an ability to think strategically and to really see transaction flow. I remember when I was new here, I really tried hard to recruit industrial engineers because I really wanted to get people with the skills to look at process, to re-engineer process. I still think that that's a very critical skill. Okay, and third, I think somebody who is better able to navigate a much more political environment without compromising on principles and on efficiency would be good.
Sorry, this is so similar to how the former commissioner resigned. It's pressures as well. Do you think this is a doable job with all the pressures, or like if they're just?
Oh, it's a doable job. It takes. It takes a lot out of whoever's sitting here. No, it's definitely a doable job. Definitely one of the more challenging ones out there. Okay, but I think there's no reason to give up on customs. There's no reason to give up on the prospects for reform.
But you are. You're leaving.
I'm leaving because I don't. I'm uncomfortable with moral compromises. I'm uncomfortable with politics taking a role, playing a role in appointments in customs, and that's something that's extremely important to me. Okay, maybe somebody's gonna be able to deal with it better than I will. I hope that somebody will be able to deal with it better than I will.
You mean someone who would accept moral compromises?
No, not necessarily. Maybe somebody who can, convince the powers that be that these compromises shouldn't be made.
Okay, so what happens to the reforms that you were working on?
Well, I would hope, and hope is all I can cling to at this point because we don't know who's coming next. That whoever comes will continue with them, and I think that when we talk about continuity, okay, there's really just a couple of things that I think the general public and also the direct stakeholders, the people who deal with customs on a day-to-day basis, should watch out for. Okay, one, okay, do we achieve 4-hour processing time by the end of this year? 2, do we achieve paperless processing by next year? Okay. I've outlined in probably more detail than anybody wants, okay, for whoever comes after me, okay, what we were trying to do, what we've gotten done, what's the situation today, okay, and what would have been my next steps. Now, obviously, whoever comes in may have ideas of her own, okay, but the next person, okay, I'd like that person to at least have the benefit of stuff that I've thought about, whether she or he wants to continue it in that direction or tweak it or has better ideas. That's obviously going to be up to them.
Did you talk to anyone before your resignation?
I beg your pardon?
Did you talk to anyone? Did you talk to
lots of people?
Secretary Purisima?
Oh yes, my mother, my friends.
And they said?
They said we'll buy you a beer when it's all over.
Were they supportive of your resignation?
Most people ask me to stay.
I would assume so.
Yeah, which is, it's. I thought long and hard about it. Okay.
When did this thought process start? Because when I last talked to you, you said no.
Look, I've thought of resignation every single day. Okay, when things get tough, which is about 17 times a day, right? Okay. But I think that at some point, at some point we all need to take a stand about something. And I've decided that this is something that political appointments in customs are something that are important enough to take a stand on.
So it was never the personal attacks. It was never, there was so much controversy they were trying to drum up. It was not that.
A shrink would have a field day with me, because how do you disentangle all of that stuff, right? I'm not gonna. I'll easily admit this. It's been a tough time. Now, I thought I could deal with it, but then when your conscience bugs you about something, you've got to listen to it.
So the appointment was the final straw.
I beg your pardon?
That appointment was the final straw.
It didn't sit well with me. It felt wrong. It felt like something that I shouldn't just let go by.
How long were you in the post?
Since December 2013, so it's a year and 4 months.
Did you think it was going to be this quick?
I didn't even have time to think about that. I said earlier, I regret absolutely nothing. No. I regret the fact that I started a lot of stuff and didn't get to finish it, okay? But I have no regrets whatsoever. Serving the people of this country has been the greatest honor of my life, and that's something that I will, carry with me for the rest of my life.
The social media reactions are mostly not disappointed, but sad. Sad to see you go. What do you want them to know about you leaving? Because honestly, you look fine. You look happy. You don't look embattled. It looks like this is a decision you've made with much thought. What do you want these people to know? Because literally, the comments on my Twitter feed alone are. I think
I think what's important to know is that this effort has been a huge team effort. I've been the face of it just because we're a culture that's very personal. But behind me have been hundreds, maybe thousands of brave, risk-taking men and women who, despite the fact that they know that they work for the most hated government agency out there, take risks and make sacrifices every day, okay? And those people are still there, okay? So there's no reason to despair, okay? But it is going to be a tough, it's going to be it's a tough situation, okay? But the elements of success are all there. You know, I mean, I could pull out my phone right now and show you texts that would make you cry. And I'm not talking about reactions to my departure. I'm talking texts that have come in through the last 14 months where people tell me, you know, we seized this, and my wife got visited by armed people who she didn't know yesterday at her house. No? That's the kind of sacrifice I'm talking about, and those people are still there.
Did anyone ask you to resign?
I'd rather not answer that question.
If you're taking a stance, I think you should take a stance all the way.
I think I've said what needs to be said.
Have there been threats?
No.
Okay. What's next? What's next for sunny Sevilla now that I can't call you Commissioner?
More beers than I've ever drank before in my life put together.
Are there any names you would recommend for the post?
I've given some names, but I'd rather not talk about them. I mean, I think the president should make should make a decision or announcement fairly quickly.
Do you plan to speak to the president about your time here?
If he would like to speak to me, of course I'll speak to him. But I think he knows. I've spoken to him several times. I think he knows what's been going on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you think this pressure comes all the way from the top?
Hard for me to know.